I used to believe that Christmas was about warmth, the kind that lived in laughter, in shared meals, in the quiet comfort of knowing you belonged somewhere. But for me, Christmas was always cold, not because of the weather, because of my family. Every year, as December approached, I found myself waiting. Not for gifts, not for decorations, but for something much smaller, something most people never had to think about. An invitation. It never came. At first, when I was younger, I didn't understand it. I would sit by the window in our small apartment, watching snow settle like a soft blanket over the streets, convincing myself that maybe there had been a mistake. Maybe my mom had forgotten, maybe my siblings thought I was busy, maybe next year would be different. Next year never was. Instead, I would scroll through social media and see the proof of what I already felt deep inside. Photos of my family gathered together, my mother in the center, smiling brightly, my brother and sister beside her, wrapped in love that seemed effortless. The table would be full, the tree glowing behind them, the caption always something like "Family is everything." I was never in those pictures. Not even once. At some point, I stopped asking why. Questions only made the silence louder. Instead, I told myself a different story, the kind that hurt less. I told myself I didn't need them, that I was better off on my own, that their absence didn't matter. But the truth is, it always mattered. It showed in the way I worked, relentless, almost desperate. While others leaned on family, I learned to stand alone. I took extra shifts, saved every penny, pushed myself further than I thought possible. Not because I was chasing success, but because I was running from that empty feeling. The one that whispered I wasn't enough to be loved. Years passed like that. Slowly, quietly, I built something for myself. And then one day, I did something no one in my family had ever helped me achieve. I bought a house. I remember the first time I held the keys. They felt heavier than they should have, like they carried the weight of every lonely night, every silent Christmas, every moment I had been overlooked. That house wasn't just walls and windows, it was proof that I didn't need anyone, proof that I had survived on my own. Proof that I was worth something even if my family never saw it. I made it my sanctuary. Every corner reflected a piece of me. Soft lights, warm colors, quiet spaces where I could finally breathe. For the first time in my life, I felt safe, and yet every December, the silence still found me. It didn't matter how strong I became or how much I achieved. When Christmas came, so did the memories, the empty phone, the absence of a message. The quiet reminder that no matter how far I'd come, there was still a place where I didn't belong. But this year felt different. Not because anything had changed, but because I wasn't waiting anymore. I wasn't hoping anymore. I had finally accepted the truth I had spent years avoiding. Some people don't lose you. They let you go, and my family had let me go a long time ago. So I made a promise to myself that winter. No more waiting, no more wondering, no more wishing for something that was never going to happen. This Christmas, I would choose myself. I didn't know then that the silence I had grown used to was about to break. And when it did, it wouldn't be because they missed me. The message came on a night so ordinary it almost felt like a mistake. I was curled up on the couch, a blanket wrapped around me, the soft glow of fairy lights filling the room. Outside, the cold pressed against the windows, but inside my home everything felt calm, controlled. Safe, my phone buzzed, I almost ignored it. Most notifications were work-related or meaningless updates. Nothing that ever truly mattered, but something made me reach for it anyway, and then I saw the name. Mom. For a second, I thought my eyes were playing tricks on me. My thumb hovered over the screen, my heartbeat suddenly uneven, like it didn't quite know what to do with this moment. She hadn't messaged me in years, not on my birthday, not when I bought my house, not even when I stopped trying to reach out. Yet here it was, a message. I opened it slowly, like it might disappear if I moved too fast. Come home for Christmas, we miss you. That was it. No explanation, no apology, just a simple sentence that felt far too heavy for its own words. I stared at it for a long time, reading it over and over again, as if something hidden might reveal itself between the lines. But it stayed the same, short, direct, and strangely hollow. We miss you. The words should have felt warm. comforting even, but instead they left a cold uneasiness in my chest, because people don't just change like that. Not after years of silence, not without a reason. Before I could even process it fully, my phone buzzed again. Another message, this time from my sister. "Hey, it's been so long. We really want you to come this year, Red." And then another. "My brother, you should come. It'll be good to have everyone together again." Everyone, I almost laughed at that. For years, everyone had never included me, and now suddenly I was part of that word again. It didn't make sense. The messages kept coming, light, cheerful, almost rehearsed. They asked about my life, my work, my house. Especially my house. How big is it now? Must be beautiful. You've done so well for yourself. Compliments one after another. Too many, too sudden. I leaned back against the couch, staring at the ceiling as a quiet realization began to settle in. This wasn't normal. This wasn't love. It felt like interest, and not the kind that came from missing someone. Still, despite the doubt creeping through my mind, there was another feeling underneath it. Smaller, quieter, but stubborn. Hope, the kind I thought I had buried years ago, a part of me. One I didn't like to admit still existed, wondered if maybe this was real. Maybe they had changed. Maybe they finally saw me. Maybe this was the Christmas I had always waited for. I closed my eyes, exhaling slowly, caught between logic and longing. It would be so easy to ignore the messages. To protect myself, to stay in the quiet safety I had built. No expectations, no disappointment. But there was also a risk in saying no. What if this was the one time things could be different? What if I missed it? That question lingered longer than it should have. And in the end, it made the decision for me. My fingers moved before my doubts could stop them. "Okay, I'll come." The reply came almost instantly. "We're so happy. It won't be the same without you." I stared at that message, something about it settling uneasily in my chest. Because for years, it had been the same without me, and they had never cared. I arrived 2 days before Christmas. The house looked exactly as I remembered, unchanged, familiar, almost frozen in time. But the moment the door opened, something felt different. My mom pulled me into a tight hug, too tight, too sudden. "Oh, we've missed you so much," she said, her voice warm, but her grip lingering just a second too long. My sister greeted me with an excited smile, complimenting my coat, my hair, my glow. My brother clapped me on the back, asking about my success like we had never spent years as strangers. Everything felt perfect, too perfect. The laughter came easily, but it didn't reach their eyes. The kindness felt practiced, like lines memorized instead of emotions felt. And then, as the evening went on, I started to notice the pattern. The way their questions circled back. The way their curiosity lingered on one specific part of my life. My home. How many rooms did you say it has? Must be nice living somewhere so big. You live there all alone, right? Each question was casual, harmless on its own, but together they formed something else, something intentional. That quiet unease from before returned, stronger this time, settling deep in my chest. This wasn't just a reunion. And whatever the real reason was, I was about to find out. By the time Christmas Eve arrived, the warmth in the house had started to feel staged. At first glance, everything looked perfect. The tree shimmered with lights, the table overflowed with food, and soft music played in the background like something out of a movie. My mother moved around the kitchen with a smile that never quite reached her eyes, while my siblings laughed a little too loudly at things that weren't that funny. If someone had walked in, they would have seen a happy family, but I wasn't someone. I was the one who had been missing from this picture for years. And now that I was finally inside it, I could see the cracks. It started small. My brother mentioned how expensive everything had gotten lately. Bills, groceries, repairs, he listed them like a practiced speech, shaking his head as if the world had personally wronged him. My sister joined in, complaining about her rent, her landlord, her unfair situation. I stayed quiet, listening. Then my mother sighed, a long, heavy sound that immediately drew attention. "It's just been so hard," she said softly. "Keeping everything together. It's not like it used to be." Her eyes flicked toward me for a moment. Just a moment, but it was enough. The conversation shifted after that, not abruptly, not obviously, but deliberately. So, my sister said, turning to me with a bright smile, "Your house must be amazing." I forced a small smile back. "It's comfortable. How many rooms did you say it has again?" my brother asked, leaning forward slightly. "Enough." They laughed, but there was something sharp beneath it. My mother set down a plate and joined the table, her voice gentle, almost careful. "You live there all alone, don't you?" I nodded slowly. Silence followed. It wasn't awkward. It was expectant. Like they were waiting for something. And then, finally, the truth began to show itself. "You know," my brother said casually, though his eyes were locked on mine, "it doesn't make sense for all that space to go to waste." And my chest tightened. My sister quickly added, "Yeah, I mean family should share what they have, right?" There it was, not hidden anymore. Not softened, just said. I didn't respond. I wanted to hear how far they would go. My mother reached across the table, her hand resting lightly over mine. The gesture felt unfamiliar, almost foreign. "We've been thinking," she said gently. "Maybe just for a while we could stay with you." The words hung in the air, heavy and undeniable. "Just until things get better." My sister added quickly, "It would help everyone." My brother said, "Everyone," the same word again, the same word that had never included me until now. I slowly pulled my hand back from my mother's. "And how long is a while?" I asked, my voice calm, though something inside me had already started to shift. They exchanged glances. That was answer enough. My brother shrugged. "We'll figure it out." My sister leaned forward. "You have so much space it wouldn't even be a problem, and we're family," my mother said softly, as if that alone should mean everything. Family, the word felt different now, heavier, hollow. I looked around the table at the same faces that had once ignored me, forgotten me, erased me from their lives without hesitation. And now they were here, asking for something I had built without them. Not asking, really, expecting. When I didn't respond right away, the atmosphere changed, subtly at first, then sharply. My brother's expression hardened. "You're not seriously thinking of saying no, are you?" My sister's smile faded. "After everything, you can't help your own family." "Everything," I repeated quietly. My mother's voice turned colder, laced with quiet disappointment. "Don't be selfish." Selfish? The word hit harder than I expected. Years of silence, years of being excluded, years of building a life alone, and somehow I was the selfish one. That's when it finally clicked. This wasn't about love. It wasn't about missing me. It wasn't even about Christmas. It was about my house, my success, my stability, what I had, and what they believed they deserved a part of. The realization didn't break me. It didn't even surprise me. It just settled, like a truth that had been waiting patiently for me to accept it. I leaned back in my chair, studying them, not as family, but as people. People who had ignored me when I had nothing and returned the moment I had something to give. A strange calm washed over me, because in that moment I understood something clearly for the first time. They hadn't changed. I had, and this time I wasn't going to be the one left out in the cold. Not anymore. That night I didn't argue. I didn't defend myself. I didn't remind them of the years they had erased me. Instead, I smiled. It wasn't forced, and it wasn't angry. It was calm, so calm that it seemed to confuse them. "I understand," I said quietly. "You're right, family should help each other." The shift in the room was instant. Relief washed over their faces. My sister leaned back with a satisfied smile. My brother let out a breath like he had already won. Even my mother's expression softened, her eyes warming in a way that finally looked real. For the first time since I arrived, they seemed comfortable. That told me everything I needed to know. Plans started forming immediately, casual at first, but quickly turning into assumptions. My brother talked about bringing his things in a few days. My sister mentioned how she'd redecorate one of the rooms. My mother spoke about finally having everyone together again, as if the decision had already been made. And I let them. I nodded, I listened, I played along, of course. I said when they talked about space, "We'll figure it out." When they discussed timing, every word I gave them built their certainty. By the time Christmas morning arrived, they were no longer asking, They were expecting. The house was quiet when I woke up. For a moment I lay there staring at the ceiling, feeling something unfamiliar settle inside me. Peace, not the fragile kind I used to hold on to, the kind that could break with a single memory or a silent phone. This was different, this was solid, because for the first time I wasn't hoping for anything from them. I already knew exactly who they were, and more importantly, I knew who I had become. When I walked into the living room, they were already gathered around the tree, laughing, exchanging gifts, moving through the motions of a perfect Christmas morning. My mother looked up and smiled. "There you are," she said warmly. "We were just talking about when we should start moving things." Of course they were. I stepped closer, my expression calm, my voice steady. "Before that," I said, "there's something I need to tell you." They all turned toward me. Curious, expectant, certain, I almost felt sorry for them, almost. "I sold the house." The words landed softly, but the effect was immediate. Silence, not the comfortable kind, not the peaceful kind, the kind that empties a room. My brother blinked. "What? I sold it," I repeated just as calmly. "A few weeks ago. The paperwork's done. It's no longer mine." "That's not funny," my sister said, her voice tight. "I'm not joking." My mother's face drained of color. "Why would you do that without telling us?" I tilted my head slightly, meeting her gaze. "Because," I said quietly, "it didn't involve you." The shift this time wasn't subtle, it was sharp. Immediate. Anger replaced warmth. Frustration replaced kindness. "You knew we needed help," my brother snapped. "You said you understood," my sister added, her voice rising. My mother's expression hardened, disappointment turning into something colder. "This is selfish," she said. There it was again, that word. But this time it didn't touch me. I let out a small breath, not heavy, not emotional, just final. "For years," I said, my voice steady, "you had every chance to be my family. Not when I had something to give, not when it was convenient, just when I needed you." No one spoke. "You didn't forget me," I continued. "You chose not to include me." My mother looked away. My brother clenched his jaw. My sister said nothing. "And now," I said softly, "you've chosen to come back. Not for me, but for what I have." The truth sat between us, undeniable. I straightened slightly, feeling lighter with every word. "I built my life without you," I said, "and I'm not going to let you take it from me." No anger. No raised voice, just truth. I picked up my coat, the room still frozen behind me. "Where are you going?" my mother asked, her voice smaller now. I paused at the door, glancing back one last time. "To spend Christmas," I said, "with people who actually see me." And then I walked away. No one stopped me, no one followed. Outside, the cold air hit my face, but for the first time it didn't feel empty. It felt clean, free as I stepped forward, leaving that house. And everything it represented behind me, I realized something I had never fully understood before. Revenge doesn't always come with anger. Sometimes the sweetest revenge is simply choosing yourself.